Today I'm going to show how I painted this little seascape using palette knives, brushes and of course oil paints. So here's the reference photo, kindly given to me by my wonderful mother. Thanks a lot, Mum. Shout out to Janet Fia, the other artist in the family. And I'm just starting by mixing up a blue. Or let me tell you my colours first. So I'm using titanium white, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, sap green, cerulean blue, burnt umber, and I've got Gamblin solvent-free gel as my medium with water mixable oil paints. So I'm just starting up with a bit of a blue, a darker blue at the top there, using ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, and a little bit of titanium white. And I'm starting with I'd say a quite a large flat brush. To be specific, they're ivory flats, and I absolutely love them. They're from Rosemary & Co. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to get your hands on some. So I'm just playing with the sky again, and just I'm gonna deviate a little bit from the actual reference photo. I like to do that. The reference photo is just there as a guide, but I'm gonna add in a little bit of a kind of purpley pink in that sky there, and just keep this part pretty simple by blending it out slightly and using the same brush as well. I didn't clean this brush as I'm working. I think I wiped it with a paper towel, but yeah, so one of my favorite things to do is I think with my technique is painting using brushes and palette knives. I think I get the best out of both worlds there, like that sort of random kind of mad mix of impressionism, abstraction, and a little bit of realism as well. And I had an absolute blast painting this. I was really happy with the outcome, and I really loved that Gamblin solvent-free gel. And yeah, I can tell the difference. It does sort of move the colour slightly more than, well, more than just using water. I am using water in between to clean my my paintbrushes, but I'm wiping it thoroughly, so it's almost dry. And yeah, I love it. I mean, I was really happy. I think, as I said, palette knife and brushwork does work at the same time, does work really well with my technique. Here I'm just mixing up a very sort of light purple, um, just for the horizon line really. And yeah, I used less paints because of the gel, and the paint felt more sort of buttery, I'd say, than when you're just using water. I'm not doubting just using water or sort of dissing it, but this was better. So I'm really happy with that, with this kind of way of working with the medium. I used to use liquid original, but that's toxic, so I kind of keep that out of the studio. Um, so again, I'm just knocking in the horizon line, and I'm in this painting. I'm really, well, in every painting I try and do, I sort of try and focus on brushwork. So I'm not over blending everything, and I'm keeping my brushes clean, and I'm showing brush strokes where I think need to show, and I'm blending brush strokes where I think they need to be blended. That in conjunction with the palette knife, it's a lot of fun. And I really like this reference photo because composition wise it sort of brings you down, your eyes sort of follow down right there where I'll be painting shortly, down the kind of hillside. And this painting will be a bit contrasty, not too much, but a little bit. But yeah, I love these brushes. These brushes they're so versatile, and they show off the sort of like abstract quality when it comes to creating hard brush strokes. Gives it sort of like a nice sort of hard edges in areas. But yeah, that with the palette knife was a lot of fun, and I've just lightened up slightly because I wanted the heavier part of the clouds in the distance to be a bit lighter on top. So the same mix, just added a little bit of titanium white there. But yeah, I got my colours really simple. That colour in between the red and the cerulean blue is sap green. As I said, it looks like brown from here, but it's not. It's quite a punchy colour. And I like to add that into my greens later on, especially with the from the British landscape. This photo is it was taken in Devon. I think my mum told me, and yeah, it was a really beautiful day, and the sea was actually blue. Believe it or not, the sea does get blue in the summer in the UK. Where there's blue skies, blue sea, and yeah, had a great time sort of capturing that. And I'm not going for a perfect composition when it comes to landscape seascapes. No way. I knocked in the pencil sketch there, color pencil sketch, sorry, before I started painting, just with a brown oil based colored pencil. 1 minute it took me. The composition wasn't exact, but I don't care, to be honest. I just want to paint. Here I'm knocking in a white, titanium white with cadmium yellow, and that's going to sit nicely with my almost purple mix there, because they're complementary colours, and it's nice and eye-catching to put your complementary colours together. When it comes to colour, and yeah, when it comes to colour, values are more important to me, tonal value. So that's how dark or light your kind of painting is, your colours are tonally. Getting the exact colours, again, no, I'm not interested in that. And to be honest, I don't really like that much contrast in these small paintings, and there will be a bit of contrast here shortly, but I think that's sort of best kept for focal point. So I think my focal point is I will be active later on, and yeah, that's the only place I want sort of contrast, especially in these small paintings. So I'm just knocking that back with my finger. I don't eat the paints, don't start licking my fingers or anything, but I'm very careful in the studio with my practice, and my hands are always wiped clean and washed thoroughly after a painting session. I just use my little finger every now and then. And again, this blending brush as well, which has seen better days. It's really old, and just for a more of a softer blends. This is a Canson oil painting paper, 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and it's my last piece. So I have to order some, or I might make my own for next week using watercolor paper and gesso. Either way, they're both amazing. Paper is amazing to work on. I love it. I love it for these demos, and I love it so much more than canvas. Yeah, really happy with paper in general. Okay, so here I'm going for the distant sea, which is slightly darker. Then it will be darker than the sea that's in the foreground. Just using a little bit of medium there, not too much. And yeah, I took my time on this painting a little bit. I think I went a bit too dark here, so I'm just going to adjust that slightly. But I slowed down a lot on this painting, and it was about half an hour it took me, which is ideal for a painting this size, in my opinion. But I loved this painting. I love everything about it. I love working on it. I love the outcome. I was really happy with this piece, and I think that slowing down a little bit and using that medium, the Gamblin solvent-free gel, really helped. Just made the colours, as I said, it made the colours sort of move more without diluting the colours so much. So I loved it, yeah. And yeah, I'm just moving down now slightly, just lightening the mix a little bit. Keeping the brushstroke strokes loose and kind of playful. And yeah, just going to lighten it up again and adds a little bit more punch. That cerulean blue is really vibrant, and I like using that when it comes to seascapes, mixed in with ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to go for a slight sort of turquoise colour now, because next to the seas tends to get a little bit more sort of towards the greeny turquoisey side when it's close to the lands, basically more to the turquoise or the greeny side, should I say, because of the reflections also from the trees that you're going to see me paint shortly. And so again, just sort of adding a little bit more blue into the mix and some white. I'm just going to be blending that slightly, um, just keeping it simple, to be honest. And you're going to see me use my palette knife shortly. But yeah, I love working both paintbrushes and palette knives together in the same painting. It really is it for me. I mean, it's fun doing an all palette knife painting, but I get the best out of both worlds. As I said, I get the best out of the mad mix of impressionism, abstraction, a bit of realism here and there, but it's best done with paintbrush and palette knife because the paintbrush is a bit more controlled, and then I can just break up everything later with the palette knife that I'm going to do now. So it's ultramarine blue and cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to locate my darkest green, which is still on the blue side, still pretty cool. And just going to try and lighten that slightly to start working on the trees that come down into the sea there, and but I just wanted to lighten it slightly just to see where I'm at because it just looks black from here, but it's not black. And I just added a little bit of medium there just for the paint to flow, to see what that feels like with the palette knife. And right about there will be my focal point. And going back to the backgrounds, the skies, I'll be adding some more impasto texture on top of what I've already worked a bit later on. Okay, so I'm just adjusting that slightly with a bit of white, and I feel like it's on the cool side. It's a bit too blue for what I need. So I'm going to warm it up with yellow and that sap green. And as I said, that sap green is a really punchy green color. So I'm going to just modify that slightly with some ultramarine blue and the cadmium yellow. And just taking my time a little bit with this, trying to get these greens right, and in general trying to get the tonal value, the tonal range kind of correct. But I thought I'd go straight in with the palette knife on these trees, and because we also had cliffs. I saw cliffs underneath the trees as well, and I thought that might have been pretty cool with the palette knife. I think this is one of the paintings that I would probably like to go a lot bigger on as well, just because of all these kind of cliffs that we're going to be seeing shortly, and the sort of like beautiful sort of green and blue turquoise sea. I just think it would make for an epic painting that would be a lot bigger. So I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay, so I just had a little bit burnt sienna in there. It's nice to add your opposite, whether of green, opposite colors together still. Like, so red is opposite to green on the color wheel. So that brown could act the same as well. So I just wanted to add that into a little bit into the green mix there. Okay, so a little bit more vibrancy coming now, which I noticed in the reference photo. And yeah, I mean, reference photos are there, not to be copied, in my opinion. It's just there as a guideline, and they're important for me. But I mean, I'm not going to be crying over all the detail. I think life's too short, and that's just boring. So I like to really put my own touch on it. So if you're looking for the reference photo of this from this painting and more reference photos along with more tutorials and art downloads and other things, then check out my Patreon page. I'll leave the link in the description of this video below, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for my recent patrons that have subscribed to my membership. Really appreciate your support. And yeah, let's get back to the video. So I'm just gonna find some kind of cliff colors that I found. This was a little bit too orangey, but I think I went for it anyway. No, I'm gonna knock that back of it. I think I left that color mix there just to sort of see. So I'm gonna jump into the shadows now. Shadows usually something that I do first when it comes to painting. It just helps me kind of unify and bring things together when you work sort of dark to light within oil paintings. So, but I didn't in this case. I worked into the dark trees first. So this is slightly darker mix and cooler as well. And this will be used for the shadows that you see in the cliffs there. And I just added a little bit of red there just to sort of purplize it, if that's even a word, to add some to create a sort of purple cool color rather than just blue. So yeah, I could have probably done the shadows with a paintbrush, to be honest, and sort of really scrubbed that into the surface and kept that quite thin, but I just didn't want to, so I just kept with the palette knife really. But yeah, I'd love to paint something like this. There's a lot bigger, on a bigger scale, or those cliff edges with palette knives would be really awesome to create. So maybe next time, let's see. Okay, so just indicating some kind of rocks that sort of sitting out in the sea. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually wiping my palette knife in between, so when you see it sort of move off the screen, I do edit it out for now example. I just wiped it, and excuse me, it doesn't take long to wipe, but trying to keep these videos slightly shorter and not so long with all my wiping of the palette knives. It doesn't take long, but still, yeah, keep my colours clean. And palette knife, just being careful with placement really. A lot of paints was harmed in this painting, but it doesn't matter. I just love texture in a lot of areas in the paintings that I make, but not too much texture, just sort of randomly put around, especially in these cliff edges here. That mixes kind of with the green, the grass there on the hilltop. And so with the same mix, just trying to highlight it and trying to, you know, work dark to light. But sometimes it doesn't always happen, so things do get modified and we end up going back and readjusting areas. But yeah, rule of thumb, dark to light, it does help. And usually what's furthest away, I usually work and come forward. That usually helps as well, rather than just starting in the foreground and going back. I think that's a bit weird for me to try and comprehend. I couldn't really do that. So from what's furthest away and come forwards when it comes to painting. But you'll see me dance around a lot now. So I've basically covered the white surface, and you'll see me sort of dance around now. And I like to do that. Just sort of unifies the painting more when I do that. I couldn't just start in general, one corner and finish in another corner. I couldn't do that. So I think that's it works better for me just to sort of dance around more. And I just got my old filbert brush there and just sort of decided to blend slightly those trees together. And just sort of again move into some more shadowy areas with the palette knife. Okay, so just playing here. I mean, we've got a very light yellow with purple, which sits very nicely together. And I just added an almost titanium white just to spread that like butter on bread. But yeah, thick to thin. When you can get that really thick impasto painting that sits well with thin paint, it does work for a nice painting. And I just wanted to play really and just see what I can do without overworking it. And I think it's great having when it comes to clouds, having sort of hard edges and soft edges. Well, in fact, great for everything really that you paint. Clouds especially because um, they kind of are really. If you look up and you see the clouds can be really thick, like light on top, but they can have sharp edges, and then they can sort of soften towards the bottom. That was really fun to do with the palette knife and brushwork. And here, just throwing some kind of random areas of clouds blended in with my finger, slightly in that wet paint. So talking about soft edges, I tried to soften the top of that off, the hill off. It kind of worked, and then it went into the sky, so I had a bit of extra abstraction there into the sky, which I didn't really want in this piece, so I decided to try and cover it with lots of paints. Very thick paint there, and then again just get rid of that little bit of green in the sky. But yeah, I mean, 30 minutes for a painting, which I'm really happy with. You can't complain. That's amazing. I mean, I could have gone on for another 15 minutes just to sort of. No, I didn't. No, I wouldn't really, because I think I didn't say, okay, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes. I actually stopped when I was really happy with this, and it was like 30 minutes. So that's an ideal time to paint. Here, I'm just picking up that almost white and just scraping gently. Try not to try not to interfere with the paint underneath, just to give it that sparkle from the sky, which works really well. And you'll see me work over that again slightly shortly, and just adding some warmth there into the cliff with the fresh paint there, just some of that almost like highlighted areas. And the edge of the palette knife, of course, just to indicate some rocks and the sharp edges of the cliff there. But there's not much detail here. It's just tonal value, brush strokes, yeah, hard edges, soft edges, and texture. I love texture, which you're going to see me add in shortly into the sea. But I wanted this to be a little bit more greener to reflect from the trees there. That's close to the where the cliffs are at the bottom. But yeah, you're going to see me add in some real cool sort of texture with. It's almost like abstraction, and I just love it. Okay, so edge of the palette knife just to add in some highlights in the back, and I'm gonna probably knock that back a little bit. And what's great as well with the palette knife is you don't have to just add paint, you can take paint away. I mean, yeah, you should add paint, of course, but then you can take paint away, you can scratch into the surface, you can get amazing depth by what I just did there, by adding the paint and then scraping it away, and then adding like small areas of thick chunky paint on top, and it just really creates like another dimension in your paintings. And there's no like total realism. It's like realistic from a distance, you know. And like illusions of detail, illusions of detail, illusions. Sorry, I start again. Details and illusion is an illusion. Okay, so I'm losing my words here. I'm tripping over my words. I'm getting too excited. Detail is an illusion. Okay, and you don't have to render everything with tiny little brushes. I mean, you can do. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I can't. I'm not interested in that. This is what I love. I mean, I keep my small brushes away from or out of my studio. I mean, I just it's so much more like enjoyable using larger brushes, palette knives, fingers, and um, just enjoying it. You know, not worrying about creating everything that I see from the reference photo. Just a bit of artistic license involved as well, a bit of creativity, and you can really play with color. With color, and these are water mixable oil paints, and there's no difference between these and the regular oil paints that you get. I just use these because it's just easier to clean up, and I don't want to have terps or mineral spirits in my studio. So, but yeah, what fun it is, and I really like abstract paintings if they're done correctly. But here I just knocked in a little bit of white there and just knocked it back slightly, grabbing that texture now and really pushing down hard to blend slightly with that blue sea there. And here again, I'm just scraping away in a direction just to indicate some kind of sparkles again from the blue sky. Now this is really cool, just scratching in some highlights. We can do that with the edge of the palette knife, which is really fun, just gives it a bit more texture and more interest and slightly more abstraction. And I usually do this to sign my artworks as well. So if I'm working on a wood panel, which that's been primed, I would paint this in one go in alla prima, and then I would use, not a palette knife, a toothpick to sign my name into the wet paint, which works amazingly because I hate signing my name using a paintbrush. I absolutely hate it. So toothpick takes like 10 seconds and it's done, and it just looks part of the painting, which is really cool. So here I just wanted to thicken up slightly that almost white paint into the blue sea, and then I'm just gradually not putting as much pressure on just then, and you've got like another dimension of paint, which looks really cool. And here went a little bit too green there, so I wanted to bring that back with a bit more white, and I think a bit more blue in a second. But yeah, right there is creating that abstraction now with more paint, and then it's sort of broken paint, and you can see the blue underneath. I just think that's so cool. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And then just the edge of the palette knife there, just really moving and blending areas, which is just amazing. Yeah, and then just sort of like highlighting and just added in some small sort of last minute details. And I want to sort of make the clouds a little bit thicker in some areas and just tie it together slightly. And yeah, I had such a blast painting this. I just want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. I do really appreciate your support. If you're not already subscribed, then please do so and hit the little notification bell to be notified for when I upload my next video. And it does really help if you would like to give this video a thumbs up, maybe a comment. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you again in the next video. Take care for now, and happy painting.